there is an idea that is underneath all of this, which is tied to a whole field called decision economics, which has a simple claim, which that value comes from putting scarce resources behind the right calls. Decide better, allocate better, and figure out, what needs to happen next within the enterprise. But every one of those decisions gets gated by a single input. And that single input is, what do you actually pay attention to? And so in some ways, the decision economics and the attention economics aren't two separate things. You could almost think of it as the one and the same thing in the sense that if you allocate attention well, and then the numbers and the results kind of take care of themselves in some ways. So which begs the question, right? So what is the system underneath that needs to make that happen? And that's where we're introducing and what we built, and we're calling it SignalOps. Think of SignalOps as a product offering that sits within the SignalOps product stack, focused on one thing, which is the joint operations of talent and tokens. So we use tokens as a proxy for AI because it's the economic unit of value today. And talent has always been the economic value for labor. So if you put those two things together, we now have an operating system that we need to build for the workforce of the future, which is what we want to introduce you today. And so let's start with something that's already happening. And so if you think about your traditional org chart, that is now quickly being blended with synthetic as well as carbon beings. And I think Mark Benioff famously said that this is the last generation where there's only going to be humans on the org chart. Going forward, every company will have agents on its org chart. And so you're already running a blended workforce, so the headcount you measure, is no longer about the capacity just based on human labor, but also think about the capacity that's available to you with agents. But how do we manage all of this together? What's the cost of that workforce that is now largely invisible on typical business plans and payrolls is lurking underneath the surface, buried in cloud ops, FinOps, and everywhere else, but it's quickly emerging to be a significant cost item that needs to be managed together as you would your workforce. So think of humans and tokens together, being the workforce of the future, and SignalOps as the mechanism by which you can manage all of that. So here's how it actually works. So think of SignalOps as your one unifying pane that kind of bridges all of the HRIS information, the HR information together with what we're getting from the AI and the agentic layer together, where you start to take every decision and decompose those decisions into projects and tasks as you would do anything else. Staff and task each task to the right mix of people and agents. Route the work to the appropriate stakeholders and price every decision. What's the cost of inaction? What's the cost of a two-way decision? What's the cost of an irreversible decision? So that we're entirely clear on the economics of every decision that's happening, supported and enabled by the talent and token pools that make up the workforce. They're on tap. How do you route, allocate, and manage that workforce is really the offering that we're creating. And then I'll leave you with this before we get into the demo that Jeff recorded for us, which is that now every action that we take is an implied decision. And the price of every decision is attention. It's not compute, it's not labor, it's not whether or not an action can be undone or reversibility. Ultimately, attention is the thing. It's not a soft skill or a buzzword. It is the very thing, it's the foundational thing on which you build everything else, which is why we're calling it infrastructure. And that is the work that we want to do with all of you.